Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mac and Chuck Show with your hosts, Chuck Hill and Scott McKenzie. Two idiots, just like everybody else, have opinions. And like buttholes, buffalo things. You got a face mask. Oh, man. Oh, dude. You're muted or something there, Holmes. You're not coming through.
How about now?
Now, there you are. We got to get your mic squared away or something.
No, I just need to learn how to fix it and work
there
it.
You go. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Mac and Chuck Show. It is Sunday, January 30th. I'd like to welcome everybody to the live show.
You got the date right. Good job.
I did get the date right.
How many times did you have to double check it? Did you have to double check it a couple times?
Yeah, no kidding. At least I didn't say it was like, the third Tuesday or something like that,
Welcome to Januaryth, Saturdayth, 32ndth.
Something like that, yeah. So, all right, welcome everybody. Mac, getting random thoughts this week, or how's your week going?
Just like any other week. Which to say any other week, which means nothing extraordinary, which to me means quiet is good. Any random thoughts? Let's see.
The quiet life is the good life.
What are people's fascination with Apple products?
Interesting. Interesting enough. Oh, hold on, I got to do this right for Kim. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, the Apple products thing. Okay, well, let me ask this: do you mean like Apple the company or Apple flavored stuff? Well, I'm asking for a very particular reason, so I'm asking you to clarify. Got you. As he holds up his Samsung phone.
Android, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried Apple phones, couldn't do it because it was not a good experience for me on the support end for Apple. So yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Here's my issue with it. Everything is iPhone specific. You have to buy specific stuff.
So you actually have an issue with this? Like, what do you mean iPhone specific? Because
like chargers, stuff like where I can just go out and buy a USB-C plus charger and I'm good on a bunch of stuff. But you have to buy a specific iPhone charger that they can charge whatever ungodly amount they want. I just don't like the specificity, I guess, of you have to buy our licensed product. It's just Microsoft's the same way.
The proprietary aspect.
Yeah.
So Kim
I get it from a business point of view. I get it.
Yeah, Kim says Apple whiskey good. Apple products trash. You heard it here, folks, on the Mac and Chuck Show.
That in and of itself right there just sums up the entire opening segment.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Apple products either. I had an issue, bought the iPhone 4S when they first came out. And so here's an interesting comment. Mark uses a Samsung charger for my iPhone to charge, not a plug-in.
Is it
a wireless charger, Mark?
I was getting ready to ask that.
Yeah, well, interesting.
No, you didn't. You have to do it right now. Come on.
Interesting. So I do want to give a shout out to Mark for bailing me out of a situation and saving me quite a bit of money. So Mark, you know what I'm talking about. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And I don't want to say it on air. I just want to give Mark a personal thank you since he's tuned in this evening. He helped me out with.
Did you up drunk from a bar?
He did not. He set me up with a product that I needed, so he let me borrow something. So I just want to say thank you for that. Mark says yes. I'm guessing that's to the wireless charger. So very cool. Anyway, so what I was saying is, when the iPhones first came out, I bought an iPhone 4S. Thought it was pretty cool. I figured I'd probably be an iPhone user for life, and one of the many people that were standing out 3 weeks ahead of time waiting on the next update. That came out right. But they pushed out iOS 7, And when they did, it did something to When they did, it did something to fry the wireless card on my phone, and this occurred before the unlimited data came out, right? So anyway, I called them and I was like, "Hey, your update fried my card," and they were like, "Well, yeah, has happened to a couple people." And I'm like, "Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad you're aware of the situation. So what do I do to get it, replaced or repaired?" And like, "Well, let me take a look here." And oh, you've had the phone for 6 months. I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Well, it's only got a 90-day warranty on it, so you can buy a new phone." I'm like, I don't want to buy a new phone. I'm still paying for this one. It's like, and it's under warranty. Well, no, sir, the warranty runs out after 90 days. Okay, well, your update caused the problem with the warranty. Yeah, we know that. I'm like, okay. So when are you going to fix my phone? Well, you can buy a new phone. And I'm like, I don't want to buy it. Anyway, it was a whole deal, like 15, 20 minutes of this, right? Going back and forth about their update screwing things up and them knowing that they screwed it up. At that point, I vowed to never buy another Apple mobile product again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the laptops and the computers are great, but quite honestly, you're going to spend twice as much money for what you can accomplish with a PC these days. So, I mean, I'm not trashing on anyone who owns an Apple product, but you're kind of getting hosed. So again, an opinion that I have, not necessarily shared with, the millions of other Apple product users out there, but that's okay.
They could be wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So what are we talking about tonight, Mac?
Well, I thought we'd expand upon the conversation last week because some headlines have arisen this week where Neil Young pulled his or wanted Spotify to pull his music catalog off their music site because they wouldn't censor Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, how'd that work out for him?
Basically, Spotify said no, so he pulled it. And then he went on other music applications and.
Yeah, I saw where he's like, on like Pandora is even like advertising at this point. They're like, "Hey, catch Neil Young on the Pandora website, streaming free." And it's just like, well,
and then,
okay.
And probably 75% of the users of these music streaming sites are like, "Who?"
Yeah.
Who?
Not many millennials and younger generation know who Neil Young is.
Is this the Cinnamon Girl guy?
So I'm kind of curious. That kind of comes on. See, Jesse says Neil Young is an irrelevant dinosaur. All right. I don't necessarily know that I disagree with that at this point. Like back in the day, I think that he was influential, but I kind of think at this point, maybe that's kind of a way for him to manipulate popularity again. He's, going about it like, hey, I'm not making as much money as I used to. And like Jesse said, maybe he was feeling irrelevant. So he's got to start drama, right?
Here you go. Boom.
Funny thing about the whole Spotify is I kind of forgot about them until this week. Great free press. That's true. That's true. And, there is no such thing as bad publicity.
Nope.
So, yeah, I think, Mac, do you have Spotify on your computer or on your phone?
No, I have a Sirius XM, of which their Deep Tracks channel is dedicated to Neil Young. So, there's a bunch of other venues, but I guess my main thing is, where do people get off saying, you either do this or I'm pulling my music?
It's entitlement, man.
Just pull your music if you don't agree with it. If that's something you want to do, what? I guess I don't understand the whole cancel culture thing, and we can get further into that as the show goes on. But I mean, in that respect, Neil, you really haven't been relevant in 40 years. I mean, are you really you take his podcast off, or I'm taking my music off? Let's see, millions of listeners to a podcast, maybe four figures. We'll see you later, Neil.
Yeah. Out of all the people, I might put Neil Young up there with 5 figures. I mean, it's got to be, a pretty significant amount. But I do agree it's nowhere near what Joe Rogan is getting these days. And Jesse makes a good point here that no one even knew Neil Young was alive until last week. I didn't, I mean, I guess I figured they would have, blasted it all over Facebook, if he had died or whatever.
Right. Speaking of death, to detour for a moment, rest in peace, Howard Hessman, Dr. Johnny Fever,
Dr. Johnny Fever.
To which I will give a tribute at the end of the show.
All right, yeah, more and more celebrities die as we get older. I now understand how my dad felt as his, celebrity people he used to watch died.
It's just people you grew up with. Does their death mean anything to you? Did you know them? No, but I mean, does it take away a bit of your younger years or your childhood? Sure it does.
Yeah, there's an Eddie Money song. I believe it's Eddie Money. Kind of feeds into this a little bit, but there's a lyric. I want to go back and do it all over, but I can't go back. I know. You know the song I'm talking about? I want to go back and do it all over, but I can't go back. I know. Anyway, I'll not torture people with that.
I was say, here come the record producers, Chuck. Good job.
Yeah, hardly. Kim says that she's always used Spotify, but hates Neil Young music, so no skin off her butt. Yeah, I don't think that there are going to be many people that are going to be too upset that Spotify dropped Neil Young and kept Joe Rogan. And here's the thing: I like to do this during the shows. I like to always go in a little bit deeper as to why Neil Young threw a big fit, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week. And I think this is kind of where it ties in. Neil Young didn't like what Joe Rogan was saying about getting a vaccine and anti-vax and things like that. Again, it kind of goes to the point of, so what? Does it really bother? Does it really bother you, Neil, that much that someone has a different opinion of you to the point that you have to go and make demands of the people you've contracted your music through? And that brings another interesting aspect to it. Is these guys have contracts in place, to be able to play their music? Do these not mean anything anymore? Can you just pretty much call it off at this point and say, what, I'm pissed off, so what, my contract doesn't matter anymore, sue me if you want? And I don't understand why people can't just let people live their lives and let people have their opinions, but you have to make this huge deal out of it.
Here's something I would add to that, which to me is a deeper question. Why does it make you that angry? Why can't you bring yourself to just turn the channel or just skip it and not pay any attention to it? Why does it piss you off that bad?
I think it goes back to that, what I mentioned earlier about entitlement. People think that their opinions are more important than other opinions. And, just because Joe Rogan may be a younger guy or whatever, his opinion is no less valid than, Neil Young's. It's really not. And, but, when you have people who have reached a certain level of celebrity, and when people treat them like they're gods, and people treat them like they just like they're the only ones who matter, I think that's really what it comes down to. It's like, I'm going to assert my influence, if you will, to make changes so you can get rid of someone who I think is spreading lies and falsehoods and things like that because I don't agree with him. And then now you're like, do what I say, and if you don't, then you're going to lose me.
But
pie.
Yeah. Here's what I would say to that is, what's the biggest problem? The fact that you disagree with what he's saying, or the fact that he allows the open discourse? What is the major point there?
I think it's, just to kind of answer that question a little bit, I think it's really just a matter of for fear of being wrong, I guess.
Right.
If I think that what you're saying is going to make me look like a fool or make me look like I'm wrong, then I have to shut you up. And I think that that's been going on for decades, and we see it now, particularly on Facebook, that if you don't agree with Facebook's quote unquote community policies, then guess what? We're going to throw you in Facebook jail and teach you a lesson, and
there's some people we know that never learned that lesson.
There's someone in very particular that we know, and I refer to him simply as Skid Mark, a little bit of an inside joke there, but he's always getting thrown in Facebook jail, and it's hilarious because it's funny because he doesn't lose his Messenger, so we just get his Facebook gold through Messenger,
Right.
And it's hilarious, but they're always shutting him up or trying to, And it's funny because it's extremely two-sided or double-sided when it comes down to it, because he'll post stuff just as offensive that is not promoting a particular agenda, and it stays up. No, like, there's no bans, no punishment, or nothing like that. The funny thing is, and Kim, you can relate to this, we always know when Skid Mark has been banned simply because he puts a post and it just says test. So we know that he's at least been warned, that he's about to get banned. And it's it's hilarious, because he kind of dips his toes in the waters a little bit. Have I been banned? Have I been shut up? Right.
We're still good.
So, I mean, it's always. So, hold on one second.
You got to get that one out, do you?
Oh, man. Right. And, Kim says he comes back twice as mean.
Right.
And he really does. I mean, eventually it's going to get to where they're just going to, send someone. The Zuck is going to send someone to break his finger so he can never, post again or whatever.
Yeah, okay. He'll use other appendages.
Probably, and take pictures while he's doing it.
Yeah, and send them straight to Zuckerberg.
Oh, but anyway, I think it really, I think what it boils down to is people get so offended because they're afraid of being proven wrong. We can't live in a society where it's okay to be wrong and we can't learn from our mistakes, or, even if it's not a mistake. Like, here's the thing. I made a huge screw up today, this morning at church when I was getting things ready. I mean, literally minutes before our live, and it's like, I knew what I did, and instead of trying to hide it or anything like that, like, I immediately went up to, the praise and worship leader and, our pastor. I'm like, look, this is what happened. So we need to, do some things like this. And we stopped, got it taken care of, but you have to be able to admit when you're wrong, and you have to be able to accept correction if correction's coming. And you also need to be able to learn from that. I think that's the biggest thing, is you need to be able to learn when you screw things up. So I think that's really why people scream the loudest, because they're so afraid that they might be wrong that they have to scream so loud that people either tune them out, or people are like, oh, you know what? They're making the biggest ruckus, so they've got to be right. Yeah, it's kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
To add on to that, I would just say, what happened to people having that accountability to admit their mistakes, to admit they were wrong? I think you and I don't have a problem admitting, what, I screwed up. I was wrong. What can I do in the future? Yada, yada, yada. As opposed to the millennials or Gen, whatever it is now, are like, I was never wrong. You're wrong. I mean, What is that? The way we raised is that, to where all this cancel culture comes from. I'm just, it blows my mind that in a generation and a half, you can go from us to there.
I don't think it's coming from the parents. I honestly think it's coming from and I'm not going to say it's a left wing or right wing agenda. I think it's really coming from a learning environment that, and a media environment that is always saying, well, it's okay. You can feel this way, and however you feel is right. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you're wrong, about your thoughts and opinions and things like that. And it's gotten to the point now where we have to vehemently prove that we're right. And, it is
a Freudian slip.
Yeah. We have to, prove that we're right. And that if anybody dares defute us, well, someone else told us, that we're right and it's our truth. And, I was thinking about this truth thing the other day. And before I go into this, I'm going to go and put Jesse's up here because I think he's got a point. It's years of progressive indoctrination. And I think that's right. And I don't think that that's coming from most homes. I think it's coming from educational environments. And I think it's coming from social media and from regular media. And I think that where home falls short of that is a lot of parents aren't paying attention to what their kids are being taught up until recently. I think up until recently.
Up to the Zoom meetings and remote learning and that, I agree.
Right. So I think so. Back to the truth thing. We grew up in an Oprah era where we were all told that, well, there are multiple truths, and your truth is the one that's important to you, and if it's important to you, then it's okay. And yeah, I mean, it's like that's one of the great things about the truth is that the truth is the truth. Period. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just the truth. And that can be said in social situations, personal situations, religious situations. It's like the bottom line is the truth is the truth. And you can argue with it until you're blue in the face, but it doesn't matter. Now, you can have differences of opinion of how something should have been handled, but the bottom line remains is the truth is the truth. Did you tell a lie? Yes. Okay, then you told a lie. Or, did you, was hitting someone or did you hit someone? Yes, but it doesn't matter why you hit someone. That's well, I felt it doesn't matter how you felt. It's never right to do something like that. And I just think that when it comes down to why we defend ourselves so much, it's because we don't like the truth. We want to have our truth, and that's not a religious statement. I mean, it's just a statement of truth.
I see what you did there. Um, I would say if people substituted the word truth for opinion, things would be different. I
Could you
think
repeat that? I'm sorry.
No, I think if people use the word opinion instead of truth in those contexts,
Hmm.
I think the because words can make all the difference in a statement,
Right.
and what people remember and what's impactful to them. I would also say that all this going on now is a reasoning of the participation trophy era.
Okay.
There's no winners, there's no losers. It's just everybody gets a ribbon because they played the game. Well,
Right.
that's not how life works. You're doing whomever a disservice in teaching them the lessons of winning and losing, because in life there's winners and there's losers, and you have to learn how to be able to take care of that and or rectify that with yourself. And a lot of people now can't do that because they weren't given those tools at a young age. They were always told, you're always a winner, here's your little
Yeah.
trophy for playing the game. And then they're faced with adulthood, and it's years of that. And Jesse's right as well. There's a lot of continuous, it matters how you feel. And, life doesn't care about all that. Life doesn't care how you feel about something. Life doesn't care if you played the game.
Right.
Life wants to know if you're a winner or a loser, and if you know how to become a winner. To me, that's the hugest issue right now.
Right. And to kind of piggyback off that a little bit, talking about winners and losers, again, the truth is there are winners and there are people who don't win. No, there are losers.
Mm-hmm.
There are winners and there are losers. And, I really think that we have to understand that, and we have to learn that's the problem. We haven't learned to learn from our losses. We haven't learned to, stand up from our failures and push ourselves to be better. We become a society of mediocrity. And I've said that, and I've said that a lot. And we've also been taught to accept mediocrity. And the biggest the biggest thing that I could say about that, or the best example I could give to that, is since I'm a photographer, I deal with this a lot. I mean, people are okay dealing with mediocre photos. I'm not saying I'm the best photographer out there, because I'm definitely not. I have a lot of room to improve. But the thing of it is, people are okay with, Aunt Jane and Uncle John taking their wedding photos, or either on an iPhone or something like that, or something along those lines. And we've come to accept mediocrity because we've been told that it's okay. It's one of the reasons that this country is so far behind in the industrial revolution and the technological revolution right now, because we have a generation of people who have been, it's okay to not excel. Oh, you didn't do very well. Well, that's okay. Well, no, it's not. When we were growing up, now I didn't get my ass
Strive to be
whipped.
better. No,
Right,
but
but
we were told to strive to be better.
right, and I didn't get my ass whipped over like not getting an A. I was expected to pass,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't expected to get an A. But it was always like encouraged for me, and kind of like the expectation was that I would get an A.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something our parents pushed into us. Do well in school. and Excel, you can do better. It's like, I will ask my kids, better than that, right? My parents ask me that, and it's not really a matter of condensation or uh, it's not a condescending remark. It's just a verification that I raised you better than that, or I taught you better than that, or if I didn't, I need to step up and do so.
Right.
You know, People wonder why other countries are so ahead of us, as far as technology goes and things like that. Now, there's some social issues that they're not, that much further ahead of us, but it's because we've come to accept mediocrity, and we've that mediocrity is okay. It's okay not to be great. So, Kim says mediocrity explains our choice of president. Okay.
I agree 100% with Jesse's comment.
Okay, and Jesse says only winners like a scoreboard, whether they win the game or not.
Because you measure the success you're having by that.
I think,
and
I think,
you can see, okay, I'm not winning in the first 3 quarters. What do I need to do to improve and be the winner I know I want to be at the end of the 4th quarter?
Right.
What do I need to adjust?
Right. And people will say, using a sports analogy, people say, well, that's why kids should always be involved in sports, because it teaches them sportsmanship. It teaches them to be assertive. It teaches them to, be aggressive for their goals and things like that. And I don't think that that's necessarily accurate in only a sports situation, because that can be done in theater, that can be done in art, it can be done in music, it can be done, in the workplace or whatever. You have to be pushed, though. Speaking of, the expectations, when you get a job, when you're hired to do something and you come in and you don't do it, the only participation trophy you're going to get is a pink slip out the door and an unemployment check that's not going to pay your bills. Again, even in the situation we're in right now with the hiring situation and not being able to get people to work, they're okay with that. People are okay getting a $400, $500 a week unemployment check instead of, going to work, and I just,
we're gonna end up like the people on the ship in Wall-E, I swear to God.
Hey, maybe we're going to get canceled.
Woo!
Mark says we need to strive to be better. Agreed. No need to win per se, but always want to do better next time. I agree, Mark. As long as you're always self-improving and you're always looking to improve yourself, that's ultimately, when it comes down to it, yes, you have to please your employer. But when it comes down to it, the only person you have to, let me rephrase that. The only person on this planet that you really have to appease and please and be proud of is the one that you look at in the mirror every morning. That's really where you need to that's who you need to impress. You probably don't look in the mirror in the morning, do you? But those are the ones you need to impress. The one that you're looking at. Eventually, mom and dad don't matter. Your kids don't matter. Sure, you want to make them proud, but ultimately, can you get up in the morning and look at yourself and like,
oh, you say look at yourself?
Look in the mirror and just ask yourself, am I going to do better today than I did yesterday? And am I proud of what I'm doing?
What are you, Stuart Smalley? I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. I mean,
you like me. You really, really like me.
See, I always liked Andrew off the Breakfast Club. Andrew, you got to be the best. You got to be a winner.
So let's see. We got Mark's comment up here. So, yeah, so I guess that. Sorry, folks. I'm still getting over this cough, and this will be probably at least another month before it's done. But it is getting better, which is nice.
Do you need somebody to jump on your chest? Would that help?
What I'd like to do? What I'd like to do, and this is going to sound really gross. I would love to be able to get those the scrubbers that they use for baby bottles.
What?
If I could just jam that down in my throat all the way down to here, and swish it around a little bit and get all that mucus and everything else out of my throat. That would be so nice.
Nope.
That would be so nice.
I'm going to leave the NC-17 comment. I'm just going to let that.
Yeah, let that one slide.
I'm going to let that one float. You start talking about jamming stuff down your throat. I'm like,
right. I wonder if you got germs somehow. Well, these have been germs for a while.
Are you sharing germs
But
with people again,
I
Charles?
am not sharing germs with anybody right now. Uh, so, folks, I just put a link up there. Feel free to jump in and give us your thoughts and comments. We've talked a little bit, and we'd like to hear you talk. We'd like to hear some of your comments about what you think about the cancel culture, why we're in the situation that we're in right now, and then why are people so adamant to get other people canceled and to hear their voice heard above everybody else.
Hear their voice heard? Thanks, Yoda. Must be all that mucus in your lungs.
I guess. But yeah. So
Well, I mean, there's also cancel culture as far as, like the whole deal with Dave Chappelle. Did half the people that were calling for him to be canceled because of his trans comments, which if people would have listened to the stand up, it wasn't anything remotely as to what was publicized.
right.
People just grasp onto these remarks without researching what was said, and that's another problem. If you're gonna advocate for something, at least for God's sake, do the research that's associated with it to know what the hell you're talking about.
Right. And
don't just jump on the bandwagon just to be cool. I mean,
it's a chic thing to do.
Right. I mean, comedy in this respect is supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be in your face. It's supposed to insult you. That's what's so damn funny about it.
I'm interested to know all these people these social justice warriors, that's what they're called.
Mm-hmm.
These social justice warriors, I'm curious if they ever actually get the opinions of the people that they're speaking for. When
that's a good question.
When they go on these tirades, because it's almost like this is just a perception. Please, if you want to refute what I'm saying, come on and let's have a dialogue about it. But I just, here, let's get Kim's comment up here because it has to do with what you said. Scott hit it right on the head. People not doing their own research. Just had the same discussion last night. And yeah, and that ties in exactly to, do you really know what you're actually fighting for? You hear a couple snippets from the media, and people latch onto it, and it's like, are you really speaking for these people, or are you speaking because you're parroting what someone else has said or said that you should be outraged about? Everyone's always talking about the minority and the middleman, and not middleman, but the little man, and talking about, well, we need to do this and we need to speak for these people. I can understand being an ally 100%. I understand being an ally, but when it comes down to speaking on behalf of other people, why not encourage them to stand up? Because I can promise you, if I hear you screaming at the top of your lungs about something that you are no real part of and something you've never really experienced, I'm not going to pay a whole lot of attention to you, mainly because you're not speaking from the heart. You're speaking what other people have told you to say. And if there are true leaders in other groups or whatever, and I say groups and talking about, not just minorities or whatever, but I'm just talking about as a whole, teach them to be leaders within their own groups, to speak for themselves, so their words will have a much higher impact on those who are uneducated or don't know.
Let me add to that, because you brought up a great point. Leaders allow people to speak. And that's what I think really makes people really mad about Joe Rogan. He uses his podcast to get alternating views, and sometimes he'll challenge them, sometimes he won't. But again, there's that open discourse. And if you're going to be, like you said, advocating for these people and what they stand for, then you need to let them talk while you're using your power platform your power platform to stand behind them, to give it credence. Let them speak and you stand behind them. But you just up there trumpeting and parroting, taglines and whatever the popular phrases at the time isn't, for a certain aspect of people, that's going to make sense. But for others who are free thinkers, and I use that word a lot because that's what people need to be, are free thinkers, you don't have that person there that really impacts, and that's what people are really missing, and that's what needs to happen. You need to have those. I use everyday people, but I don't mean it in that respect, like peons. I don't mean it like that, but you need to have people that started this standing up there. You can't hijack it either, which is what we see a lot. You have these politicians and people in power hijack everything and use it as a tagline to get people to vote for them.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with self-celebrity.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is. They're trumpeting a social cause to benefit their own exposure. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lot of what's going on with the Neil Young thing right now. Or even Spotify. For all we know, Spotify organized this.
Well, there's an interesting thing that you and I talked about. I think it's worth saying is that in respect to this certain situation where Joe Rogan talks about, mandates and vaccines and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Half of Neil Young's catalog is owned by a company called Blackstone, mm-hmm. who in 2012 entered into an agreement and a partnership with Pfizer. I mean, so again, let's tie it all back to the money. Money leads to everything.
Right.
So I just want to throw that point out there because that is relevant.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. It absolutely does come down to the money. And I think even to the point you'd mentioned about, Blackstone purchasing a lot of real estate to prevent people from actually owning real estate, mm-hmm. But to buying, I mean, that's a form of social oppression right there, right. and class warfare. So no, I'm behind you 100% on that. We got Jesse that's coming on right now. I'm just going to share a couple of opinions with us. He's clicked into the link. I would actually encourage everyone else also, if you have comments, complaints, or if you want to just challenge something we're saying,
or tell us to shut up.
Jump on there. Yeah, just tell us to shut our faces, I mean, that's fine too. But we're going to bring Jesse on and see what he's got to say.
Hey, guys.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. First off, let me say I'm extremely offended right now, okay?
Don't care.
There's not.
He couldn't even get it out, Chuck. Good job.
Oh, man. Well, I demand there be more of me on this show, or we're just going to cancel the whole thing. No, guys. No, really, I agree with what you're saying here that, talking about cancel culture and all of this, really, I think the problem is we've got a generation of people who, when they want to when they're standing up for somebody else, supposedly, they're shouting things they don't know, or at least they haven't asked for the experience of those people. And when those people stand up to say, hey, you're not representing me, well, they say, shut up. When I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. And that's what we really have going on right now. That's a lot of what we have going on right now. And there's a lot of people at the top who benefit from that. And, it's a shame. It's just a shame what we see going on right now. There is a real progressive agenda, in my opinion, that's being pushed right now. And I think there's a lot of that's to blame for what we see.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I mean, especially though, like your comment, like I agree with 100%. When I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. And that's, definitely what's going on in the media and the cancel culture thing. And here's the thing, when you really drill down to it, I don't know many people, and maybe it's just a circle of people that I've surrounded myself with. I don't really know many people who agree with a lot of this crazy stuff that's on there. Like most of the people I talk to are like, did you see this nonsense that's going on right now? And it's like, who's really backing all this?
Most of the people that I talk to and that I've met really don't have anything in common with some of these folks who are screaming so loud about things that are essentially inconsequential. It's unfortunately what we see is most of the time it's people who are very mentally unbalanced who are putting forward some of these things. Neil Young, for example. I mean, look, Joe Rogan's got an audience of millions. Who hasn't listened to the Joe Rogan show? I mean, Joe Rogan has a great big audience. He always has some of the most intelligent people in the world come on his show. I mean, he's had Neil deGrasse Tyson on there. He's had plenty of guys on there who are extremely intelligent. When was the last time you heard from Neil Young?
Right.
Listen, I think Neil Young's about as irrelevant as it gets right now. Look, the guy made some great music in the past. That, as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't entitle you to an opinion, though. I mean, you're entitled to your own opinion. It doesn't mean I really have to care about it. Joe Rogan
or have it forced on you.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can try to force that, but from a business standpoint, if I'm Spotify, if I'm the the president of that corporation, I'm going, well, Neil Young, you contributed a lot to music history, and that's cool. But you don't have the greatest listenership. This guy, he's bringing in millions over here. So I'm gonna, see ya. I'm gonna keep him, and you can hit the bricks. And it's kind of mentally unbalanced to think that you're gonna have that kind of influence, when you
Right.
really that relevant anyway. So again, what I see is in my opinion, I see a lot of mentally unbalanced people kind of standing on their soapbox right now and just shouting and expecting that their voice is going to be heard.
Right. Again, even the whole Spotify thing, I can't necessarily say that this wasn't orchestrated by Spotify. Mark had mentioned earlier, that he kind of forgot Spotify even existed. And if they're here, let's see what Kim's got to say here. If Spotify was losing money over the situation, it definitely would have gone the other way. Absolutely.
You got to follow the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always.
But I mean, and this could have been a way. I mean, I would be interested to see what Spotify's financial numbers were over the last 6 months. Because I mean, if they were losing money and things like that, you got to do something that's controversial, and you've got to do something to get people to remember your name. Like Mark mentioned earlier, doesn't even give Spotify pretty much a second thought until this last week. Honestly, I've got it on my app, but they're competing with YouTube Music. They're competing with Pandora. They're competing, with a lot of other music streaming services out there. So who's to say that this wasn't something, because Neil Young is so irrelevant, yet he does hold some persuasion over a certain demographic, who's to say that they didn't orchestrate this to get their listenership up?
Well, if you're near
old hippies, is that what you're saying?
Do what?
Old hippies, is that his demographic?
The boomers.
The boomers, okay.
Boomers.
Well, if you're Neil Young, I mean, it's a great opportunity for you too. So,
right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of all over the place, and ultimately it doesn't make sense. I think that we're seriously living in an age that is madness. It's social madness. I think it has a lot to do with social engineering also. So I don't know. Appreciate you being on, Jesse.
Yep, sure. You guys had a great show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You too.
So Lisa says that she's team Spotify. Kim says that her too. She's her favorite. I think Neil. I don't think it's flip phones. I think we're more along the lines of landlines still.
Flip phones.
But Kim says Social Madness is my new band name. Sweet. You heard it first here, folks, at the Mac and Chuck Show.
So the flip phones are the ones that still have Snake as the game.
Snake and Tetris, man.
Yeah. Hey, there's nothing wrong with Tetris. I can dig on some Tetris.
Kim also says that she is team flip phone. You know what? So we'll segue here just a minute.
This is their new band name.
We'll segue a little bit to the flip phone. I think that the flip phones and mobile phones were great when they came out. Man, this whole smartphone thing, though, this has just made people more stupid than smart.
My mom still has a flip phone.
Yeah, do you remember when they told us in school that we'd never carry a calculator around with us all the time, and that we had to do all that math and stuff?
You'll never carry it. Oh yeah. Well, that's back when we were trained to use our brains as a calculator.
Right. Right. So all I really have to say about this is this right here. Hold on, I'll show you.
Wait, what are you showing us?
Take this, Mrs. Fritz. Take this.
Here you go. I don't know why Lisa would want a razor, but
bring back the pink razor.
The Motorola razors.
Yeah, they actually have the flip razors now.
Yeah, they're like $2,000. Did you see that?
I did not, but I'm just waiting. Like,
muy expensivo.
So they've had these. They're called FOLED, right? Flexible organic light emitting diode display screens. Like they've had them for decades, probably over a decade. I was gonna say decades, but I don't think that's accurate. Yeah, LED.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
okay.
You just like vomited some words.
Right. Well, an LED it stands for light emoting diode. Hey, Mick, nice to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us. So it's really, so the flexible phones, I'm just waiting for them to start cracking and things like that. Like I'm wondering what kind of testing was done with that. I've got a guy. I've got a guy, that I work with that has you need to put a little squinty-eyed guy there when you do that, interesting, very interesting. But I work with a guy who's got one of those phones, and I'm kind of, seeing how his works. So far, he's pretty happy with it. But I'm interested to see, what the longevity of this phone is going to be.
Is that the one that folds open like a bigger screen?
Mm-mm.
No,
it's built exactly like the Razr was. You basically it folds in half and turns into like a square, and then when
that's
you
the
open
one I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. Well, they've got the books also that turn into a tablet size.
Okay.
But no, this is. I mean, it looks very similar to the other Razrs.
Right.
I mean, it's a slick looking phone. The display on it looks really awesome, but
how quick is it going to take with the folding of it to like shoot craps?
Well, I figure the folding of it, or quite possibly even cold. When it gets cold and hard and cracks, and so we'll see.
Excuse me?
I hate it when it gets hard and cracks.
That's okay. This is the reverting to 12-year-old show every now and then.
Right. So I think we had a pretty good conversation earlier about that. Jesse, I appreciate you joining us and
absolutely,
sharing your thoughts and opinions for sure. I'd like to take a couple minutes and just cold hard cracks. I'd like to take a couple minutes and just get some feedback from you guys. About what, like, who do you want to see on the show? Like, give us a challenge. Who can we get on the show for you? And we're always happy to make some phone calls and things like that and see who we can get on.
You know who I want to see on the show?
What's that?
The person we've been trying to get on for the last year.
Which one is that?
In the comments.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Miss Boyer.
Yeah.
We're going to give you your own little corner called Kim's Corner.
That's in and of itself a challenge.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd like to have you on. I think I would like to do, let us know about what you feel about another, like a mental health show. Maybe we can have some, professionals on. They can maybe answer some questions for you guys. I know a couple people that are in that field. We can get them on. If you're interested in learning, do you want someone on financial stuff? We can have, someone on, to talk about some financial things.
Mm-hmm. You're doing a wonderful job there, buddy.
So Kim says all we have to do is ask her and pay her $500 fee. Well, I tell you what, when we start getting sponsors on the show to cover your $500 fee, still ain't gonna pay it, but we'll still ask you to be on the show.
Here's some thoughts for next month. We all know next month's Black History Month, but it's also American Heart Month, Prenatal Infection Prevention Month, and Children's Dental Health Month. So, and these are, health awareness months.
Yeah. I would love to have an expert on about Black History Month and maybe answer some questions that, I mean, I'm not going to lie, pretty much our viewership, from what we can tell, maybe wrong here, is primarily Caucasians. I would really be interested to have someone on the show to maybe dispel some myths, rumors, and talk a little bit about, not just African American culture, but American Black culture, just maybe educate us a little bit and just share some information on that. Hello, our friend from, I believe you're from Russia. Nice to have you back on the show. Russia, I think it's Russia. Nice to have you back on the show. I see you popping in every once in a while. So, no, I'm not looking for a mail order bride, but, we're happy to have you here.
And there goes Russia.
So, Mark said he's always ready to brag about GC Cinema. So, hey, you know what? We got a couple minutes, Mark. If you want to pop in, just let us know what's coming up at the cinema. Maybe give us some information about, theater rentals, things along those lines. We're happy to have you on. I'll post the link here in the comments. And, if you know some other things that are coming up in the city, let us know that. For those of you who are in Granite City or Edwardsville, let us know what's going on in your neck of the woods. And if you have anything coming up that you'd like to maybe talk about a little bit, we'd love to have that on here also.
Always check out the Wildy Theater and see what kind of musical acts they have. They really have some obscure, I'm not going to say obscure, but people you haven't heard of in a while. I mean, they had head east there one weekend.
Nice.
Just novelty. See, I can't even say novelty acts, but they're bands that were big back in the day that might not be so much anymore. But it's always good. It's No Can Do tonight. Yeah, he must be incapacitated.
Nah, he's busy with cinema work today.
Oh.
We got a complaint here. Not on us. Lisa says that Wild owes her $30. Screw them. Well, if you're watching at the Wildy, you might want to reach out to Lisa.
Well,
she's an unhappy customer.
Kim, I actually read some posts on that. And basically, they said the building was in so shoddy of a repair that the corporation did not renew the lease. That was my understanding. Chuck, did you read into that as well?
I think that's what I read, but I mean nothing official, obviously. But just some of the Granite City talk. But
the banter.
No, yeah. Hey, Shelby, welcome to the show.
Oh, too bad we gotta go. No. The guy holding up the drive-through sign had to take another shot. That did look a little rough, didn't it? Seen better days. I've seen drive-through signs in Florida look better than that one after a hurricane. Got him on that one, kids.
Oh man, yeah. There's really a lot in this town that needs to be fixed. I mean, I know that the mayor's tearing down a lot of buildings.
It's not going to happen in 9 months, guys. I mean, let's be realistic. It was 8 years of neglect, if not more.
Right.
And it's not going to change overnight.
Right. And it takes citizen participation as well. I mean, the mayor can't do everything on his own here. He can guide it and he can lead it. And in all honesty, it's not his job to do everything. It's his job to lead the city to do it, and that's leading the business owners and leading the landowners. And it's his job to lead all that. It's not. Yeah, Shelby, you're right. It's the people of this town that really have to step up and do things differently. And yes, I say this as a person with a yard full of leaves yet, and it's in the middle of winter. But it's
good. It's good fertilizer and mulch. Just leave it at that.
There you go. Yeah, my grass would be greener than everybody else's.
Bingo.
It'd be taller than everybody else's, but not greener. No, I mean he's doing a good job of in the short time that he's been here. It's just going to take some more buy-in, I think, from the people here in town. And again, that's there's the business owners, landowners, and things like that. And I will say, I noticed the other day, and Mayor Parkinson, I know that you had a part in this, so thank you for that. But when Glicks left Granite and left that big nasty spot up there, that's cleaned up now. And I know that the mayor had a huge part in leading that process. So I do think that there's going to be some growing pains. I think he's doing a great job. But Granite City is going to have to buy into it also as citizens. You're not supposed to have leaves in the yard. And it just kind of looks a little junky, and I need to get out there and do it. But
she said don't drive over there.
Right. Lisa says there's a long list of what he has accomplished in the short time he's been here. Can't wait to see what happens next. That's a really good point. There you go, Lisa. Natural composting. See?
So
we understand each other.
So to call it natural composting, do you have to add in the manure?
Well, there's only one bathroom here, so when it's full.
So you drop the deuce behind the garage. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Well, we're talking front yard here, so.
Oh, well.
I just use a box and toss it out the front door. Oh, anyway.
He called it duty.
But, yeah, folks, let us know who you want to see, what topics you want to talk about, things along those lines. And we can come up with stuff on the fly, or we can plan shows. But we really want to know, again, what you guys talk about. We've been saying that for over a year. This is what happens in the backyard stays in the backyard, or Norris's. So for those of you who don't know, I'm actually Chuck Norris's neighbor.
That's great.
But yeah. So anyway, Mac, you got anything else tonight?
Nope. I'll finish up. You let me know when you're done, and I'll finish it up.
You know what? That's your cue, baby.
Have a great night, everybody. And by the way, fellow babies, booger.
Have a good one, folks. We'll see you next week.